And you know, it was the identifying element of that truck, what made it stand out?
Don't tell me it was a Betsy Ross flag. We are the Armed Attorneys. Today we're talking about some list making the FBI is engaging in, how it impacts us as Second Amendment advocates. There is some symbols that are on the naughty list that might be familiar to some of the viewers of this channel, but you might be completely unaware of, so we got to talk about it. But before we begin, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting that like button. And today's video is sponsored by our friends over at Sonoran Desert Institute. Check them out at sdi.edu/armed-attorneys. They're an accredited gunsmithing online university. Go check them out, take your skills to the next level. And you're going to want to stick around to the end because we're doing our first giveaway for this channel, and it's one of the biggest we've seen out there, so stick around for those details. Now, we're talking about, this came on the heels, or it came to my attention. John Lott posted a video. I have a funny story about John Lott. John Lott posted a video about some FBI whistleblower testimony as it relates to symbols in the Second Amendment community. And I think we should roll that first.
A document which whistleblowers subsequently authenticated to the committee that is styled the FBI's Domestic Terrorism Symbols Guide on Militia Violent Extremists. Mr. O'Boyle, are you generally familiar with that guide?
Yes.
And that guide identified certain things that made people more likely to be deemed a threat or terrorists, didn't it?
Yes.
And wasn't one of those things just the number 2 and the letter A next to each other?
Yes, it was.
And in your experience as a law enforcement official, does putting the word 2 or the letter 2 and A next to each other make someone more likely to be violent or law-breaking?
No.
And if someone signified the right, that they support the right to bear arms, was that also something in the symbol guide?
Yes.
And how about, this one really got me, the Betsy Ross flag. Was the Betsy Ross flag in the terrorism symbol guide?
It was.
And what about the Betsy Ross flag makes someone more likely to be a violent extremist?
I wish there was a reasonable explanation for that question.
There is.
Edwin Walker, your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, let me just say that I love congressional hearings.
Yeah.
I've become kind of addicted to them. I watch them all the time. In fact,
C-SPAN is just so y'all know, C-SPAN is just rolling in Edwin's office like all day.
well, yeah, it's on the YouTubes. But also just as a point of reference or as a point of interest to our audience, yesterday the Senate conducted a hearing on the medical epidemic of gun violence, and they had all these leftist doctors that were basically just up there saying gunshots are bad. Okay.
Yeah.
But go. I suggest everybody start watching congressional hearings. And so, yeah, this one was in the House, and it was about the FBI watching people and basically how the FBI is using people's First Amendment freedoms to wear or have or make whatever symbol they want against them by saying, if you like this symbol, you are assumed to be a terrorist criminal until proven otherwise. And of course, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So the symbols that they talk about in the video we just watched, the 2A, the Betsy Ross flag, the report was initially classified. It has since been declassified. We're going to go through the other symbols here. But I think lists, I'm not a huge fan of lists.
Well, no, lists are bad. The government keeping lists, and also the lists have been constitutionally protected, like lists of memberships, things like that.
Yeah.
And so even if the FBI wanted to go to a group and say, hey, give me a list of your members, that has been declared to be unconstitutional. Groups do not have to turn over their lists, but the government love lists. They want to make more lists. They're compiling a list of gun owners as we speak. So this is something that is inherently un-American, making a list.
So they go through this and they call it their militia violent extremism indicators. And so we'll have a link to that down in the description below if you want to check out the report itself, because it's sprinkled in with, things that we can all agree is probably going to be domestic terrorism, the Antifa's burning down stuff. I think we could probably agree on that.
Sure. So one of the things that Matt Gaetz, the one symbol that really got his ire up, it appears, which really gets my ire up too, is the Betsy Ross flag.
Yeah.
The Betsy Ross, really? Really? The Betsy Ross flag is basically a de facto symbol of a domestic terrorist organization?
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that This is one thing that always has got me. Historically speaking, when you're looking at the Second Amendment, the fact that the American Revolution, the first battle of the American Revolution was started over an act of gun confiscation by the British Army at Lexington and Concord. And that fact alone should be enough to shut down every anti-Second Amendment argument that has ever existed. You just say, we got our freedom because we rebelled against an act of gun control. Therefore, all gun control is terrible and should not be accepted by the American public.
Yeah, let's go with the most common ones that they're talking about here. The Gadsden flag, the Betsy Ross flag, and then just any Revolutionary War imagery. Like,
Yeah.
God forbid you have a depiction of the Revolutionary War.
Oh, I know. And the thing about it is that, as a child of the 70s, we loved the Revolutionary War. Keep in mind, right in the middle, I know that this is completely alien to you and everybody else I work with who are not even around and can't appreciate it. But you just don't understand the American enthusiasm that existed prior to the bicentennial and during the bicentennial. I mean, there was so much American patriotism. And of course, it all culminated in the election of Ronald Reagan. God bless Ronald Reagan. We could sure use a man like that again. And so all of this is very foreign to me as far as how America has turned so anti-American and how we shun our revolutionary symbols. And of course, one of the flags that is particularly near and dear to our hearts as Texans, that is also on the list, is the Gonzales Come and Take It flag.
Yeah, seriously, that was another act of gun confiscation. We have the Mexican army trying to disarm Texans.
I know.
So get out of here with that.
Exactly.
But all right, just to go even more basic than that, the number 2 next to the letter A, 2A, God forbid anybody exercise any of their fundamental constitutionally protected rights.
Yeah, well, how soon is it going to be until it's going to be a symbol of being a domestic terrorist that you have a 1A sticker on your car?
Yeah. But hold on, let's read this disclaimer. The use or sharing of these symbols alone should not be independently considered as evidence of militia violent extremism, presence, or affiliation, or serve as an indication of illegal activity, as many individuals use these symbols for their original historic meaning or other nonviolent purposes. So I think the FBI knew that at some point in time this was going to become public information.
Oh, yeah, and they wanted temperament. So basically they're saying that you can only carry a Betsy Ross flag if you just happen to also be wearing a
You better be wearing the Betsy Ross outfit that goes with it.
You got to wear a tri-corner hat.
Right.
So I'm here to advocate for the return of tri-corner hats.
All right.
I'm going to go out and get one myself.
Less popular, but still shows up all over the place. You have strong opinions about the Punisher skull. That's an indicator.
Well, the only people I see using or portraying the Punisher skull are the police.
Didn't the Punisher hate police?
I'm not that big of a comic book nerd, but yes, the only people I see with Punisher stuff are the police.
Yeah.
You see the Punisher skull with the blue line on it, and you see, I mean, heck, there was that one police officer who actually shot and killed some guy.
Yeah, he was acquitted. He had it on his gun.
Yeah, he was acquitted. But he had the Punisher etched onto his AR-15.
I don't recommend that. Other stuff, think Spartan warrior culture, those other things. I mean, they have a whole bunch of symbols in here. Anarcho-capitalism flags, the yellow and black, references to the Boogaloo.
Yes, well, that is one of the more unique ones. The Boogaloo, and also in conjunction with Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
So if you're a big fan of the Breakin' series, Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, and you also happen to have an affinity for Hawaiian shirts, you just might be a domestic terrorist.
But all right, I think good on John Lott for pointing out this video. I think it's important to share this information. I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say I have most of these things on either stickers or patches or in flag form?
Well, I don't have any stickers on my car because they just, sometimes I guess they draw unwanted attention. Way back when I was in college, I was a member of the Young Conservatives of Texas, and we handed out bumper stickers that said, there are Americans and then there are liberals. And I proudly displayed one of those on my car for several years. And in Austin, of all places, of course, I came out one day and some leftist had ripped it off my car, cut it into pieces, and stuck it back on my car upside down.
That'll really change your opinion of. But I'm interested to see what you folks have to say about these things. I mean, I think in one of the bigger points to all this, I think it kind of devalues when we throw the word terrorism around. I mean, it kind of devalues what that means a little bit. So that's another reason why I think this is ridiculous. You start calling everything terrorism, and then terrorism has completely lost its meaning in a time where we should probably keep our eye out for terrorists.
Oh, yeah. Well, you just keep lowering the bar as to what is, and then it becomes easier to go ahead and tag somebody with that label and say, oh, well, look at your opinions are to be totally devalued because you're a terrorist.
So the last thing I want to talk about before we talk about giveaway is how this would come up in a courtroom setting. For the most part, I would say this stuff is not relevant.
No, it's not relevant. And in a courtroom, if you were defending somebody who had a whole, back windshield full of these kinds of stickers and symbols, you would definitely file what we call in the business a motion in limine to get the judge to order that the jury not hear any of that because it is irrelevant. However, I'm quite certain that in the January 6th trials,
Oh yeah,
that was used as a cudgel to attack all of the January 6th defendants
yeah.
by basically going after them for their political point of view.
And we see exceptions to this kind of, when we talk about relevant, is it more likely that this made the crime occur or not occur? So that's what we're talking about. Does it tend to show that this happened or didn't happen? So there's lots of reasons why we get around it, like motive, opportunity, identity. Let's say they say, oh, somebody shot at me and they had a giant Punisher skull or, 3%er on the back of their truck. Well, guess what? That is totally coming in to prove the identity of that person. There are ways, you get arrested, you're involved in a self-defense shooting, you're wearing one of these things. Guess what? The shirt you're wearing, that's probably going to be coming in.
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't want to make yourself, you don't want to be so identifiable. I mean, just a, quick war story out there. I once defended a guy. He was acquitted. So I once defended a guy, though, who's accused of a road rage. The person that he supposedly road raged against, of course, again, he was acquitted, found not guilty. So he didn't do it. But apparently it happened so quickly that the person couldn't identify him until he saw his truck on the roadway a month later, and then was able to go to the police and say, that truck road raged me a month ago. I was able to see that truck again. I got its license plate number, and here it is. And it was the identifying element of that truck, what made it stand out.
Don't tell me it was a Betsy Ross flag.
It wasn't. It was a gigantic University of Georgia decal.
Oh, yeah. We don't see a lot of that around here.
So they were like, I don't know, he had a great big giant G on his back window. The darndest things can make you more identifiable.
Right. I had not exact facts, but a client with, black and red car racing stripes. I was like, okay, there's probably a couple of those guys. It was the most unique paint job I've ever seen in my entire life. It's like, they did not get this wrong. And they described it to a T. So you hate that. And it goes towards and you hear about this kind of concept of being the gray man, not sticking out. These little details are things that prosecutors latch onto. So, having unremarkable features about your vehicle, advisable. Yeah, I saw, there's memes floating around of people wearing 511 jeans and tactical stuff and backpacks, and they got their Moan Lav hat on. It's like, hold on, gray man, save some for the rest of us, But you want to you want to be discreet about these things. But all right, let's talk about this giveaway. Between the two of us, we have used a lot of different holsters, and the VNSH holster is by far one of the most comfortable I've used for everyday carry. With a 48-inch waistband, the VNSH holster offers the perfect fit for every body. The adjustable belt is made of durable Cordura polyester blend and ensures sweat and moisture is seamlessly wicked away.
Let's talk about the weight of the Vanish holster. It weighs a mere 6 ounces, and because the pocket pulls your gun close to your body, there's virtually zero printing. I'm left-handed, and the ambidextrous design ensures I can still use it.
It features 2 utility or mag pouches with an enhanced non-penetrable trigger guard for maximum safety. However, when you need it, the magnetic closure allows for an easy thumb break.
You've got a little one at home, and I've got a new grandbaby, so firearm safety is extremely important to us. It truly is the perfect all-round holster for everyday carry.
Our major giveaway is courtesy of Vanish Holsters, and we're giving one of our viewers this incredible Jeep Gladiator and $25,000 worth of gold, thanks to Vanish.
To enter, all you have to do is click the link in the description and purchase one of the most comfortable holsters you've ever owned, or your money back guaranteed. And Vanish will get you squared away.
Get $40 off now when you use our link below, plus 120,000 bonus entries with each purchase up until December the 31st. It's just in time for the holidays, folks, so get on it. Thanks to Vanish, and we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video. And don't forget to question and comment down below. And until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.
Oh no.
What'd you do?
How'd you break it?
You
Then
know,
you're
us
the
drank water and breathed air, Hitler.
Hitler.